Christopher, I thought. Is it started?
Yeah.
Nobody ever turned it off?
I turned it off, I should.
Okay, good. All right, as I mentioned before, we're missing some IP addresses. So let's fill in the IP addresses before we go any further. So what is missing? Come on, come on, come on. Everybody should have their hands up besides Austin. Yes?
We're missing the IP address for like the PCs and like the routers.
All right, so give me the IP address of this PC.
It's on a private network.
And it was 190, I think the network was 192.168.7. So give me an IP address.
So 192.168.7.1.
Okay, and it's got a 24-bit subnet mask, right? Because that's the range. Give me a gateway for that.
So we can do 192.168.7.2.
Okay, that's fine. Now, the gateway needs to be on the same network, right? All right, so where would I assign this 7.2 IP address? Matt, or yes, Christopher. To this router right here. So this is going to be 192.168.7.2 with a subnet mask, which is the same, which is a 24-bit subnet mask. What is this gateway going to be? The gateway of this interface right here. What's it going to be? Jessica. The IP address of this interface. Its gateway is going to be the IP address of this interface. Now, it knows, because it's on the same computer, it's in its routing table, it knows what that's going to be, so it's going to fill it in automatically, but you guys have to furnish it. What would the IP address be of this interface? One right here. Okay? What would that be? We need, what are the rules about assigning, Brittany, what are the rules about assigning IP addresses to routers? They have to be different networks. So if this network is 192.168.7.0, what does this network have to be? What does this network address have to be? It has to be different than 192.168.7.0, right? So give me another private network for this router interface right here. What a mess. Come on, come on, come on. Yes? I got a better idea. How about making it start with 192? The only rule, it has to be a different network than 192.168.7.0. Right? Give me an IP address. Nope. 192. And I'll tell you why here in a second. 192.168. What? Michael Feast. .8.1, right? This, what network address, if it's got a 24-bit subnet mask, what network address is this? IP address. What network address? Quinn. It's what? .0? Look at the drawing. It's this one. Okay, the network address is 192.168.8.0. Is that different than 192.168.7.0? Good to go, all right? Now, what is the IP address then of this interface? This one has to be on the same network as this one. Larry.
192.168.8.1.
8.1? Does that fulfill all of our rules of IP addressing?
Oh, my bad.
.2, okay? The 24-bit subnet mask. It's a different network. It's 192.168.8.0 than this one, which is 192.168.7.0, different than 10.0.0.0 network. Now we've got to assign an IP address to this router too, right? So Christopher, give me an IP address for that.
Would it be like the same as the 10 out there, or is it 192 something? Okay. So, .9.
Very good. It's a different network. Oops. 9 dot, what was that last part?
1.
9.1. So give me an IP, that's this guy. Give me an IP address for this guy. Christopher, you're on a roll, man.
192.168.9.2.
168.9.2, very good. What's the network address for this? One more time, Christopher.
2450.
That's a subnet mask, which makes
Okay.
the network address what?
192.168.9.0.
Very good, outstanding. Okay, so that's the network address. Now, give me an IP address. Oh wait, we already got that one. We've already got this one. All right, now everyone understand everything so far? Keep in mind, I wish I had the way I knew how to do a different color. Keep in mind, this is a separate network. This is a separate network. This is a separate network, and this is a separate network. Okay? Get rid of those. Oh. All right, all of those are separate networks. So now, here is the problem. If PC over here, this guy, okay, wants to send a packet to this guy, which is on 172.16.0.0 network, the packet that it creates, the packet is going to have two components to it. What are those, Jordan? What are the two components that the packet has? Very good. The source is going to be, for this PC, what's the source IP address going to be? Or source network going to be? Actually, I lied to you. What is the source IP address first? It's this PC right here on the far right. What's the source IP address going to be, Jordan? Very good. What's the destination if it's going down to this PC? 172.16.8.2, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. If this PC is sending to this destination, how will it know where to send it? It won't, right? It's not on its same network, so it's going to send it to what? Huh? It's going to send it to its default gateway, which is 10.0.0.2, which is this guy. This router here in the middle, does it know where the 172 IP address is, or the 172 network? Does it know? No. So it's going to send it where? Jordan, or not Jordan, Austin, how? Its default gateway, which is going to be one of two things. Its default gateway, Quinn, is going to be either what or what? Looking at the drawing. The default gateway for this guy, this router, which has two interfaces, this one, actually three, so the default gateway for this interface, the one on the far right, is going to be the IP address of what or what? One of those others, 192.168.8.2 or 192.168.9.2. Or I'm sorry, or 192.168.9.1. Can't have two default gateways. You're only going to send the route of last resort to one. So instead, we create what? What do we create?
I don't know what it's called, but it's whenever you send to a certain network, you send it to a different
Interface. What is that called, Jessica? A route statement. And we'll use the syntax of what, Larry?
Route add.
Route add. So, that route add, you're going to say route add destination network Okay, so I'm going to destination network. So in this particular case, we're going to say, we're going to put a route add statement. Let me get rid of some of this garbage. We're going to do a route add statement right here on this router. We're just going to go into the interface and we're going to type route add if the destination is 172.16.0.0, send it to where? Send it to this network, or this interface. Send it to 192.168.9.1. So this is the interface. Oh, I skipped something, sorry. One thing you have to add in there is the subnet mask. So this would be mask, subnet mask for this guy, 255.255.0.0. Let me segregate all this. So if I want to send a packet, if anybody over here wants to send a packet to the 172 network, 172.16 network with this mask, send it to this interface. What's another word for interface? What is the interface? What am I talking about there? No, not gateway. What's the interface? Joshua, Everly. What's an interface? Quentin.
What the computer is on
A NIC. It's going to send it to the interface here on this network. So interface is going to be 192.168.9.1. So any packet from this network over here, we're telling this router, any packet from this network over here that's destined, or actually no, any packet from any of these networks that's destined for the 172.16 network, send it to this guy, because he'll know what to do with it. Okay? If you send it to this guy's going to say, I'm 192.168.9.0 network. I'm going to send it to my gateway, which is this guy, and this guy already knows that this network here is on this router. There are lots of different ways that you can do this. And I know that looks like a jumbled mess, because I've been trying to point out what interface is what. Hold your hand down, please. But you have to realize that if I want to send it to one router, that router, if it's not directly connected to the network that it wants to send it to, it's going to send it to one of two places. It's going to send it to its default gateway and say, you take care of this. Or if it is told in its configuration, you must send it to this other interface, which is that third interface on the downside of that first router. Send it to this guy, it'll take care of it. Then it'll get to the right spot. What's your question, Austin?
Yeah, when you're doing the route space add, where you put the network address and masking interface, are there no spaces between those?
Yes.
Or just one space?
That's why we say route space add.
How big is the space?
Okay? Question?
On Tuesday, you're talking about putting the dash P for persistent.
Yeah.
Where do you put
It's either route space -P space add, or it's at the very end. I don't remember which. How would you find out? That's a great question. Aaron, how would you find out where the P goes? Yep, you type route space add space -question mark, or slash question mark. If you don't know the syntax, if you don't know the way to type the command, you always type the /question mark. Okay? Now, can everyone see how this would be a realistic scenario? You've got internet connection routers, you've got routers between buildings, you've got all this other stuff. So this is a very real scenario. You don't have to memorize all this. All you have to do to get this down is to think about those basic rules of IP addressing and what would happen on the packet destination source, what network that destination is there an interface connected to it? You've got to think about where that packet logically would go, and then you'll be able to get this. Okay, and always remember that the default gateway is one of its next, if you look at this drawing, excuse me, Michael, if you look at this drawing, right, the default gateway of this is either going to be that interface or that interface. The default gateway of this interface, when you configure it, is either going to be that interface, that guy, or that guy. It could be any of those because it's got 2 routers. The default interface, or the default gateway of this, could be this, this, or this, because it's connected to it. Default gateway has to be connected to that computer or that router. It has to be on that same network. Yes? Yeah, default gateway or gateway, same use synonymously. Okay? Synonymously. I lied. That's not the case. In a route statement, gateway is different than default gateway. A default gateway is your 0000 route, whereas all other routes that have been added are also considered gateways. But when we talk about a default gateway, you can make it whatever you want to make it. You are the one configuring all of those IP addresses on all of those routers. You're the one configuring. Okay? So you need to understand how that's done. Questions? I know you've got questions. Now, here's the deal. On your homework, I haven't graded, I've looked at some of them, but I haven't graded any of them. So what that means is I want you to go back, and if it's different than what I've got up there, or if it's different, as an example, I'm trying to think, who was it I talked to that didn't even need a routing statement? Was that you, Brittany, or was it somebody else? Was it Josh? It was, but Josh is asleep, so I don't want to use him as a good example. Okay? Actually, I will. So Josh's, first of all, would you zoom that out so it's got the whole classroom? Josh's network, let's look at it. Actually, leave it on there. Leave it on there. We're now going to look at Josh's network and publicly ridicule Josh. Okay? Give me a second here. Not now. Okay, we're going to look at Josh's network. All right, I want you to look at this. All right, so I've got the cursor over here. In this particular case, Josh has got a switch, a router, and then that router happens to have 1, 2, 3, 4 interfaces. But here's the thing. If this PC over here is going to send a packet to 192.168.0.1, all it has to do is send it to its gateway, which is this guy, this interface. And if the packet's destination is 192.168.0, excuse me, it knows that it's got an interface over here of 192.168.0.0. So it's just going to send it to that, and that guy's going to find the PC. If it has a destination of 0.0.0.0, or let's say it's a public IP address, it's going to send, this PC is going to send it to its default gateway, which is this interface on the left side. That guy's going to say, well, I know that I don't have a network called what did I say? Let's just say it's 13.0.0. I don't have a network here that's 13.0.0. I don't have a network here that's 13.0.0. So instead, I'm going to send it to my default gateway, which someone like you has configured, which is 38.1.2.1, and that's going to send it out to the internet. That's a public IP address. Again, if this PC has a destination, its network is 172.16.0.0. If it has a destination of 192.168.0.1, it's going to send it. It doesn't know where that is. This PC doesn't. So it's going to send it to this router's interface. This router is already connected to this network. So it's going to say, oh yeah, you want to send it to 192.168.0.0, Therefore, I'm going to send it out on this interface, which is going to find these PCs over here. That's how a router works. There's not any real need to include a routing statement on this router because it's connected to all the potential networks that it needs to. Okay? All right, enough of this. Let's disconnect. Questions? No questions? Okay, go ahead and zoom that out, please. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to take the next half hour, 45 minutes, whatever, however long it takes, to look at your homework again. I'm going to give you a chance in class to do this and ask questions individually as you go through this. Don't ask me just to check it to see if it's right or not. Instead, what I want you to do is review it, determine for yourself if it's right, and if you just don't understand it, fine, come ask me. And I know there are a bunch of you that still don't understand it, even though we've gone over it a lot, and that's okay. Okay? Come ask me if you don't understand it. If you think you've got it right, but you're not positive, okay, fine. You can come up and ask if it makes sense. But just, if you don't understand it, come see me. If you do understand it, you know you've got it down, it's consistent with everything we've covered here, that's even better. Continue on your notes. Okay? Continue on your notes and I'll grade them sometime between now and next Tuesday, I hope. Questions? We were supposed to have a quiz today, we're not taking the quiz today because there were so many questions on that. There are, just like last chapter, there are still areas that we will cover on the test that we have not covered in the lecture or in the drawings. So you're going to have to still read that material, take notes on it. You know, things like well, I guess we did cover some of the slides, netstat, NVT stat, ID config, what's its purpose, and all that stuff. But the most difficult part of this is the routing side, which you have to understand. I'm not asking you to memorize the syntax for the route add command, other than route space add, which means you're going to add a routing statement, route space print, which means what, Zach?
Just shows you like.
Just show me what the routing table is, okay? Those you're going to have to understand and remember. Questions? All right, if you have questions about how to do it, come see me. Otherwise, correct your homework at this point. Okay, what do you got?
Alright, so,
Am I looking at your homework? Any change there?
Billing,
All right, go ahead.
change that IP address to
Just remember that this network needs to be different than this network and this network.
the only time they can be the same IP.
Forget all that. Just keep in mind we're always working like one different networks. Now, this network and this network are fine because they're all on the same side of this router, right?
Yeah, those two are.
Okay, that's fine. This network, since it's private, you don't want to use it. Okay. Plus, well, depending on what the subnetwork is, I'm assuming that you would, since it's a 20, you have a 255.0.0.0, right, or something like that. So that would be okay. But no, if this is a 16-bit, that means that this network is on the same network as this.
Yeah, that was just kind of.
Oh, wait, no, I lied. Those are different networks. If it's 16-bit, those are different networks. If it's 8-bit, they're the same network. Right? Did you follow that?
Yeah, so it's just 3 seconds.
Yep, exactly.
But,
You take your battery and put the charge on.
You, in this network, you don't need any routers. Why? Because this router knows which of these
like, I have a layout like this where I have one row that's. But I just trying to like
Let's say this is a router. This is a router. This in between.
It's something that has lost the battery.
At least it was just plastic.
Okay, if this was a router, this is a router. This would be a separate and this.
So like everything. Everything in your books have like the same.
No,
This here, no, like this here would have the same idea. Not like the same.
Different networks.
What did you do? This like over here, 10 is
Right?
I can't, like,
This is a different network. This, I didn't do it.
you deleted.
whoa.
Right. So this is a separate network. This is a different network. This is a different network. This would be private. That would be public. That would be public, but still different. Here, let's start a new one. All right, so first of all, the private network. This guy wants to go to this PC. Right, which you got now. But it says, then
Two private ideas. Connect to private routers.
It's actually that chocolate.
you do is anything going, well, it will have the default gateway. So the default, here's when you make the decision. If the majority, if the majority of that traffic is going here, my default gateway is going to go here. Why need the default gateway? Since nothing is connected to a public network, you don't need any, you've got routing stations, you don't need a private network. Small gateway, but it's gonna throw it. And a routing statement, two routing statements on this. Okay, that's that's not network, in which case there is a public. You connect to other the interface on
Yeah.
You figured out how it's good.
Oh, you didn't know?
I'm glad you know.
Go up there.
Okay, cool.
It's supposed to go here, and then it's supposed to go to a switch saying it's that. Everything here.
Okay, so
Yeah, well, it's not exactly.
10.0.0.1.
It's not exactly.
This is going to be 10.0.0.2.
It's not the exact.
This is going to be,
179,
let's pretend this is, no, it's not. This is the routing.
Oh, that's right. It's the same. This is gonna be the thing. Like,
This is going to be 11. Well, actually, it's not. This is a private network, right? So you don't want to use a public IP address. You don't want to use a public IP
I know
address.
that.
I got it. In that case, then this is 21. Right? So this is 21. This interface is on the other side of the router. This is going to be 20. This interface is 20.
He's an immature.
It's different, it's on the same network.
And then whatever comes on the other side.
And which means this is going to be a 19.
And then it would go from there to there, and then it would go here, and then this would be
And
something.
then
This
this is
would
going to
be
be
what it's
18. And this is going to be 18. And this is
two, and this one would be the same thing.
2. But here's the thing, and this is the thing I just lost it. Let's say this is 18. This is the network IP address. And this is 72. And this is what
It's not the
21.
exact same thing, it's just like this.
Okay. And this over here is 10. Okay. If this guy wants to send a packet,
Yeah, it would be this one.
what's he going to do? He's going to send it to its default name because he doesn't know what that is.
Yeah,
This
it's a
router,
four-hour statement, so if it's going, it would be this one, if it's going up like this, it would be this one.
10.0.0, send it
As
to
long as
this.
it was going down.
If
Yes.
it's destined to 21, you can send it to this interface. But actually, this guy could be,
Yes.
the way you got this configured, this gateway,
Not exactly,
this
because
gateway turns out to be this
it's a
interface.
two-way street.
It doesn't know where to send
It
anything,
goes
so
up
it's
here
going
and
to send
then
it
goes
to
up
its
there
gateway,
once,
which
and
is
then
this
it
guy.
goes back down. And you would need like, yeah, I think it was a little bit.
You don't need a route statement on this or on this, or on this, because what
It's not
happens
that hard to
is
make.
the packet stays, the destination stays the same. So if the destination is 10, so he's going to send it to his default name. He doesn't know where it goes. So he's going to send it to his default name. He doesn't know where it goes. He's going to send it to this default name. The destination is 10. This guy knows that this network over here is 10. Follow? 20 or 21.
So when would you need?
If I've got another router someplace, or let's say this interface
Oh,
is
so
going to
there's like
the internet.
If there's like another.
So if this guy is going to the internet, it's when you've got, let's say, because just think through the process. Doesn't know where it's going to go, send it to the default gateway. Doesn't know where it's going to go, send it to the default gateway. Doesn't know where it's going to go, send it to the default gateway. Doesn't know where it's going to go, send it to the default gateway. Well, if packets that are destined for the 10 network go to its default gateway, but this guy knows where 10 is. You follow? So it's going to send it automatically to the
Oh, if there was another router there.
kind of push it.
Did you get better?
Correct. All right, here's one. No, see, it's the same thing over here. Is it? Then where it's gonna go, send us default gateway. This guy knows 17's down here, whatever, 10's up here, 10's over here, this is over here. It's gonna know what to send. But if it has another router that's then connected to the internet, then it's an issue. So the first question is, can I get there by just sending it to one of my default gateways? If so, I don't need a route schedule. Follow? If I can get the packet eventually to the network by sending it to default gateways, I don't need a route statement.
But up here, this default gateway would be one of the others, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
You would have to tell it that it needs to
It'll be a default gateway, but it doesn't require. Okay, don't remember, this router always knows all of its interface. So once it receives a packet,
So it should have that.
it automatically sends it over there. It's going to have a default gateway, yes, but that default gateway is used only for places.
So even though I start to get the pointings on this router, doesn't just look at the pointings over there, it still knows.
It's going to send it to the default gateway. If this,
And if it doesn't come back on this side, it's fine.
now, okay, now here, I forgot that this is the router on the PC. Okay, in this particular case, think about this. In this particular case, if we've got something destined on 20 IP address, default gateway, then where it's going to go, send it to default gateway, then where it's going to go, send it to default gateway. This guy doesn't know where the 20 IP address is. So in this case, either this has to be the default gateway here, right? Or we have to have a route
Okay,
schedule.
that's what I was asking.
Oh, I didn't understand that.
And then it's usually default gateway.
Because it could be any of a million different addresses. That's
But in the case, this is not that. Like if you had,
Yeah,
That's how mine is.
you couldn't get between home and work with this. Because the internet won't route right back to addresses. That's the VPN.
Still on chapter 1.
That was your question the other day. That was your question the other day. Okay, so in that particular case, okay, so I've got a network over here, that's private. That's good for me. I've got a network over here.
Ask if I can change it, something else is it now.
But your destination is not to you, because the network address your address is going to be a public IP
I
address.
definitely believe in that helping.
The internet. So let's say this is the answer. This IP address is going to be 2.0.0.1.
What?
This IP address can also be 10.0.0.1.
All these in D minus one.
That's okay. Because when I want to get to this guy over here, my destination is not going to be 10.0.0.1. It's going to be advertised for that destination. It's a
they choose their.
They don't choose it, it's given to them by the ISP. Every one of them is unique. This IP address is going to be 38.75.6.4. This IP address
Well, what are all the grades actually do?
it's going to be the same. I can't be the same, so this guy has to be like.
Okay, well, one is the A's. Set them out and assign.
Well, I don't know the exact dates, but
Hey guys, you need to be doing your homework, and I'm hearing a lot of talk that's not homework related. If you have legitimate questions, go for it, otherwise be quiet. Okay, so, yeah, they do. If you change your ISP, it's going to get a different block of addresses. But here's the thing. If I have a 10.0.0 network over here and a 10.0.0 network over here, and I want to do a VPN, I can't do it. Because this has to be a different range of private, because once you do a VPN, you're cutting through the internet side. And in the background, so in the end, they would have, one of these would have to change it to 11, or change it to 192, 172. So because this packet that's on this side, if it's destined for 10.0.0.2, that's on the same network as this guy. And when we send it, we won't send it to the router in between, we'll send it out here. Yep, it's called network address translation. Practical side. Okay, does that answer your question? All right. Who's next? Questions? All right, so this gateway, this all right. All right, this is this is the public IP address. This needs to be a private IP. All right. Now you ask yourself, this guy wants to go to this PC channel. He's got a packet, he's going to send it there. Default gateway. This guy knows that this is. If it doesn't, if it's sent to like 12, this router's going to send it where? To its default, or it's going to, comes from here, send it to its default gateway. This guy sends it, and then where to send it, we're send it to its default gateway, which is this. So everywhere in here, you don't need that routing scheme. All you need is default gateway. Makes sense? If, however, you had another router over here, going to a different network, then it can only go to this default gateway if it doesn't know where this is over here. Here, sending it to this one. Got it?
I have a question about the gateways.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I got this, so I'm just making sure that it's.
Okay, so this network is 268.0.0.
Oh, start with like
You've got a base network.
Oh, it's our playboard.
I guess for 36 hours straight.
I have a tough time.
yeah, it was a problem. And the subnet mask were there as well. I just had to have to put subnet mask.
We'll definitely probably should have finished it within like this year.
Okay, Justin, tell him how to draw.
There's an English bunch all the way from that.
Oh, do you want to know?
It's like, how do you think it's It's like that.
That was up here. It was up here.
I mean,
It used to withdraw.
sort of like confuse those two
I went to the nuke site. Like the nuke actually every 5 seconds. Every like 5 seconds, like you killed that. It was now like 50 feet away. And now like the rats go where it's insanely.
Yeah, it doesn't work on that version.
Oh, you're gonna use it. Tuesday? Well, no, it needs to be done. You got 25 minutes.
If I don't get this, drawing and stuff, you create the other one.